my personal embodiment practice, and let me know if the music is too loud. I'm so connected to music, and it's just part of my soul and who I am. I like to have it on. It keeps me in my zone, and in that energy. So I shared with you my personal embodiment practice on my Instagram story today, and a little bit about the difference between embodiment and mindset work. And I wanted to speak more on that with you today. So the difference immediately between embodiment and mindset work is that in an embodiment practice, you're not thinking about it. You are not, there's no intellectual understanding or knowing that's happening in embodiment. Embodiment is focused on the feeling, and mindset's focused on the thinking and on the programming. And so there is a time and a place for both of them, and they can coexist in a really beautiful way. But for people who struggle with anxiety and depression and PTSD and mental health, and just being in the overthinking mind, the overactive thoughts, the ruminating thoughts, the conversation with fear and with ego all the time, and who get stuck in that cycle, why embodiment is so powerful, because you don't have to know why. You don't have to know why what's coming up is coming up. You don't have to assign meaning to it. You don't have to be thinking about any of it, because when you're so in your mind and so wrapped up in that fear, it's hard to think about anything else. Those thoughts, they come and they come and they come, and they can be intrusive and ruminating and obsessive. And when we're trying to work our way out of that, it's not through thinking. The thinking mind can't get us out of that. It's the body, it's the nervous system. It's working with ourselves through practice and coming into a new alignment, a new feeling, a new way of being. And that is embodiment. And so there are different things that bring embodiment up, right? Reiki is a form of embodiment. Yoga, Kundalini, movement, exercise, somatic experiences, and touching, massage, any kind of body work is integrating that feeling and that practice in moving energy. The movement of energy and the bringing up of the feeling that you want to feel is embodiment. So anything that promotes that, that's not in the mind, that's out of the mind, that's in the body, is embodiment work. And this invitation that I brought to you yesterday into the frequency of peace, into 30 days of the energy of peace codes and diving into embodiment work with me, is what this is all about. It is about the integration of the knowing of peace and the intellectual understanding of peace into the body. And why that's such a beautiful thing for people who struggle with fear and anxiety is because there's no thinking involved. You show up, you practice, you move, and you become this new energy. What you practice grows stronger. Shauna Shapiro, who is a woman who wrote a book on mindfulness, and she's like a thought leader on mindfulness, and she's really great. You should look her up. She has a couple free TED Talks that she's done that are fantastic. And that's what a Buddhist, I think it was a Buddhist monk, told her when she was like on her very first meditation retreat ever. It said, what you practice grows stronger. And so when we're in anxiety and we're in that fear cycle and we're practicing fear over and over and over again, it gets strong not only in our mind but in our body. And so if we do the mindset work without the embodiment work, the integration doesn't exist. It's like we're cut off at the neck and we're only focused up here. But our body still responds to our triggers. Because we all have triggers. We all have things that make us feel that fear, that bring us back into that time, that place, that experience, that brings up those scared feelings, those fearful feelings. And so when we drop into the body, when we drop into the feeling, we start to eliminate those triggers. We change our body's physical response to the outside world because we become a different energy. We become a different feeling. Embodiment is the becoming of the feeling that you want to feel and have right now. And the amazing thing is that all of that programming already exists. There's nothing else you need to have. There's no certification you need to get. There's nobody's permission that you need to have to be able to do this work. It's just you and your body. That's all you need. It's also amazing because you don't need your mind. You don't need pen. You don't need paper. You don't need a journal. You just need you. just needs you to show up for this work and for the embodiment of something else, something better, something bigger than the fear. Something bigger than whatever your fear is telling you to think and feel and say and do and be and how to act right now. The embodiment of peace is the embodiment of a new energy, an embodiment of a new feeling. Same thing with happiness, love, gratitude. It all comes together. It's like this big, yummy package deal that lives down here. It doesn't live up here because you can know what peace is, right? Because people tell you what peace is. It's like when you're a child and you're 2 and you grow up and everybody tells you how cute you were and all the fun things that you liked and everything that you did and everything you were interested in. And you're like, I don't remember that, but I do because you're telling me. So, I'm living that experience through you. Someone's giving you that information, but you don't remember it. So it's not really like your experience because you don't have memories that young, right? And when we intellectually know the experience of happiness and peace and joy and love, we know that from other people if we haven't truly experienced it ourselves. We know the definition of it, what happiness, what love, what joy, what peace is supposed to feel like. And maybe we've had moments of that in our lives. Maybe we've had long stretches of that in our lives. Maybe there are things that we don't feel as much anymore. And I'm speaking to peace, right? Because that's the codes, the energy I'm bringing you. But everything else that goes along with peace and all those good feelings come with it. So the embodiment is the living experience of that energy. It's not the study of it. It's not listening to other people tell you stories of it. Or reading the dictionary definition. Or reading a book about being happy or being peaceful. No. The process of becoming it, of integrating it so deeply into who you are that the fear starts to fade away, that it starts to dissipate, that it starts to just silence. Because that's not something that you need every day. Fear, you will always have a relationship with because it exists to keep us safe and to keep us alive. But there are times when we experience chronic fear and chronic stress that don't serve us in a way that keeps us safe. In fact, they try to keep us safe by consistently making us feel unsafe in our own minds, in our own bodies. So what if we take the mind out of it? Especially when the mind isn't functioning chemically how we want it to, how we desire it to. When we're stuck in a mind that's replaying fearful things over and over and over again, what if we take ourselves out of it? What happens when we drop in here and we get to know the feelings of our perfect soul? The feelings of peace, the feelings of love, the feelings of gratitude. And what you practice grows stronger. So when you start practicing peace and doing the embodiment work and not having to know why, not having to assign meaning. I'm waving at some people that are joining us. Thanks for joining us. When you practice that, it gets stronger until that peace becomes louder than that fear. Whatever that fear is for you, because it's going to be different. Fear of not being enough, fear of failing, fear of starting that business, fear of not living up to somebody else's expectations. It could be any kind of fear. Fear of not finding a job, fear of not finding a partner. Fear of you don't even know what it is. That's the beauty. You don't have to know what your fear is. You just get to show up and embody something else. And that's why for somebody, me, that has struggled with generalized anxiety for 10 plus years, that has been developing practices, tuning into other tools, practicing. I have been doing embodiment for years and years and years in different forms. And that's what we're doing for 30 days. The embodiment of peace, the becoming of peace. This isn't a seminar. It's not a book launch. It's not something that you're going to need a journal for. You might want a journal to reflect on your experience in the practice, to go a little deeper into it, but you don't need it. Everything that you need, you already have. It's right here. It will always be right here. And the minute you choose to say, holy yes, I want to access that, that's your sacred yes. That's your call. That's your pull. When you hear it, when you feel it, when you know it, deep down that you are being called into a next evolution of who you are and who you are meant to become, that's when it's time to say your yes and to dive in a little bit deeper, to get to know a part of yourself that maybe you knew at one time, but maybe you've forgotten. And there are different cycles of fear in our lives, right? It's going to come and go. When we have really high anxiety and then it starts to dissipate and then it comes back up and it dissipates. Embodiment helps you to know a tool to access that frequency of peace over and over and over and over again. So in the middle of the night when you wake up and you're feeling panicked and your palms are sweating and you had a nightmare and you're in that fear, you know how to breathe. You know how to integrate. You know how to get out of the mind and just calm the body, calm the nervous system, reassure your body that you're safe, that you're held, that you've arrived, that you're okay. Because it's not our mind that needs to understand that. Our mind is intellectual. It's about knowing. Our body is about the experience of life. Our body is what experiences life. And our mind creates stories and beliefs around that experience. So when we learn how to embody the things that feel good, we start to build programming and beliefs and habits and thoughts that feel good. Trying to do the mindset work when you're in the cycle of fear, when you're in anxiety, when you're in depression, when you're in PTSD and OCD, and struggling with your mental health and the overactive mind and the ruminating and intrusive thoughts, trying to do mindset work is like running on a treadmill and trying to actually go somewhere. You won't go anywhere because there's no integration. Embodiment is the integration of the work, the concepts, the things that you already know. There's a reason that there's been a gap between who you know you want to be and who you are right now. Because you know it. You can think about it. You can think about it all day. You can write the affirmations all day. All that stuff is good. I'm not saying any of that's bad. I practice all those things too. Those things are great. But if you're not doing that and then integrating it into the body, it's just like a one-way, one-way telephone. Nobody's picking up on the other end. There's not a conversation happening. It's one-sided. We have to open up the conversation with our bodies. Remind ourselves that we're safe in our bodies where we are right now. So, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here with me. You are so invited, so safe, so held, so seen in this new offering, the frequency of peace. I would love to have you if you feel that call, if you feel the pull, if you know that your next evolution, you can feel that it's right in front of you. The person that you think about, that you think and think and think that I want to become that person. I want to become that person. I know she's in there. I know that this evolution of me is waiting for me. And you want to step into it. You want to fully step into it. Embodiment is the way. Embodiment is the key. Embodiment is the missing piece of the integration and how you get to that next evolution. So, you are invited. I love you. I will speak to you all very, very soon. Have an amazing day. Bye, everybody.